Notre direction de la normalisation terminologique ouvre ancienne d'une trentaine de communautés des réseaux de terminologie au niveau fédéral, national et international, notamment le Conseil fédéral de terminologie et le Comité mixte sur la terminologie du Canada. Le portail linguistique du Canada a 15 ententes de collaboration signées jusqu'à avec des organisations canadiennes comme Conseil des traducteurs, terminologues et interprètes du Canada, CITIC, l'Association canadienne des réviseurs et le Centre de recherche en technologie langagière. We're looking to see as well how we can open up more of our terminology to allow our suppliers and our freelancers to be able to work with us and to ensure the quality and the consistency that some of our government departments are looking for. And in this light, we are looking at opening up more of our technology and more of our terminology bases to our suppliers, and we will be providing more information in terms of how we will be doing that. Again, translation technologies, an interesting realization this week. Google Translate has won the Government of Canada's contract to be the search engine for the Canada site. As of November the 19th, the Canada site, which is the Government of Canada's main portal, will be managed by Google. This basically is either an opportunity or perhaps a source of speculation for many people in terms of what will be offered in terms of robustness associated with Google Translate and Babelfish. The Bureau will have to have discussions in terms of looking at how we can create some of those synergies. It is an interesting trend, and it is a trend that I think we're going to see more and more of in terms of looking at ways to provide ease of access and to provide Canadians with a source of information and a source of search information that is perhaps intuitive. I know that the request for proposal was looking at not only ease of search, but also support to the Government of Canada as it looks at consolidating many of its websites and providing easier access, one-stop shop for Canadians to receive information from the Government of Canada. The Bureau, I believe, has a role to play in terms of challenging and supporting ourselves in terms of looking at how we embrace language technology. And I'm very pleased to say that this week we were nominated and we were on a short list, finalist for the prestigious Government and Technology Award for our language ecosystem. The Bureau is being looked at very much as an innovator in terms of not only developing language technologies, but also sharing the benefits of those language technologies, as we've seen with Termium and the language portal. Our challenge as a collaborative effort in terms of working with the private sector is how are we both going to adopt and use technologies? How do we use them in the way that will allow us to streamline our business but continue to provide affordability to our clients that we know that they're looking and challenging us on? I've mentioned some of the tools that we have. We were very pleased to announce earlier early in September that we launched our iPhone application and our BlackBerry application with Termium. I'd like to talk a little bit about pooling our resources. I mentioned earlier in terms of looking at collaborative ways of perhaps looking at technology. We also want to be able to be in the situation where we can perhaps take the best practices that exist in the private sector as well as internationally and look at how we can collaboratively work that into our business processes. I'm going to skip. I'm running short of time, but I do want to focus on a couple of more points associated perhaps with our procurement reform. We are looking at the numbers of contracts that we issue every year. We are in the order of 3,000 contracts, and we are looking at some of the tendencies associated with those contracts. The predictability, perhaps, of how we issue some of our work, how we bundle some of our work. I know that many of you in the room have questioned and have asked us if we are looking at having larger contracts. We know that some of the tendencies have been in the past with some of our government colleagues who have gone elsewhere or have looked for their own contracts to have bundled some of their services and looking for larger organizations to provide their services. We are looking at a mix in terms of ensuring that we have the right number of supports to our client departments, and we know that we need to have a combination of small, medium, and larger contracts. The work that Denise is doing is actually looking at some of the trends over the last few years, and we are seeing some very specific trends that we have been haphazard perhaps in terms of how we've put out some of our contracts. We've asked for specialties that perhaps have not been used, and we've put a lot of effort in terms of the contracting process, and in some cases we've not had the best use of those resources. Some of the research that they're doing now is allowing us to perhaps look at some of the trends and to figure out how we can balance that mix of specialization and general translation texts. We are going to be organizing roundtables in the coming new year, and the roundtables will really look at organizational aspects of our contracting. So what are some of the issues that we need to collectively look at in terms of the ease of access for our contracts? We're working on an e-bidding system so that we can provide information in real time. We're looking at very easy templates in terms of people providing support, people providing information once, reusing that information, having databases where we can ensure that we are not asking you repeatedly for the same information, ensuring that your integrity clauses are carried forward into future contracts, and as well ensuring that we have a mechanism in terms of providing you as much notice in terms of the short deadlines. So we are going to be looking at having some real estate and public works government services contracting process, which will be focused on language services, which will allow you to be able to target some of your interests according to deadline, specialty, and size of the contracting approach. We're also looking as well as having usability testing in terms of looking at how we put our contracts up and how we're using the online system, and we think it's very important that you actually try this out and help us shape the development of the portal that we are going to be posting our contracts on. Roundtable discussions, I know that discussions are important, but discussions need to lead to concrete action. And one of the areas that we do want to focus on fairly quickly is having the discussion in terms of quality. How do you see a transparent mechanism in terms of managing quality so that everyone is on the same page and that the Bureau is looking at the Bureau is being seen as open and transparent in terms of what constitutes quality and what constitutes perhaps quality in some of the streams that we talked about that are non-traditional, such as the social media. We will be providing also information on the website in terms of some of the next steps on the procurement reform, and in areas such as how we will hopefully work with our Public Works Government Services colleagues to allow the accreditation and the security clearances to be processed in a much more timely way. I'm going to end here and say thank you very much for your patience and for your interest, and we look forward to working with you in the coming months and certainly in the new year as we look at procurement reform. Merci.